Welcome back. The holidays are here, and that means college hockey has gone on hiatus. UND wrapped up the first half of their season last weekend in St. Cloud and won't take the ice in a meaningful game again until January 5th. So it's a good time to look back on the first 3 months of the campaign. Brad Schlossman of the Grand Forks Herald joined our very own Alex Heinert in our Grand Forks studios the other day to do so, and here's what transpired.
Oh, that was your chance. When was the last time you played air hockey?
Air hockey?
Yeah.
I don't know, probably a couple decades ago.
Oh.
As you can see.
Brad Schlossman, first 20 games of the season are in the books for the University of North Dakota hockey. If you were going to give this team a grade, again, 10-5-5 through those first 20 games, what would it be?
The grade would probably be a B+. You know, I think they got through the start of the season with lots of injuries, an injury to your goaltender, a young team, and they're, ranked number 7 in the pairwise. They're second in the standings, so that's pretty good right there. But there are some things they can still get better at and improve for the second half of the season. So I'll go with a B+. Pretty good right now, but one more step up for the second half.
When you look at depth, and that was kind of the buzzword coming into this season, you mentioned the injuries. This team has had to battle through a ton of injuries. They've not played the same lineup in back-to-back games once this year. How big has that depth been for this team's success so far?
The depth has been huge, and it's, I think starting the season, we knew that there wasn't going to be a Hobie Baker finalist up front and a guy that's going to score 60 points, so there needed to be the depth. And as it has been in the first half, Shane Gersic's point total isn't what it was last year, and Austin Paganski's hasn't been either, and those are expected to be the two big scorers. They're guys who are going to score more in the second half than they did in the first, and the fact that UND's been able to get by without huge numbers from those guys bodes well for this team, and it shows that the depth has been kind of what we thought it was going to end up being.
Yeah. So with that said, who would be your MVP for the first half of the season for this UND team?
I think it's got to be Christian Milan, and I mean he's produced big points from the back end. So much of their offense is generated from what he does on the back end, and he's their leading scorer as a defenseman, and offhand it's probably been at least 30 years since a D-man's led UND in scoring, so he's very dynamic back there. And I think the big thing for him is he's rounded out his defensive game too. He always had the offensive abilities. At times he had breakdowns defensively, and he's done a really good job of eliminating those this season.
If North Dakota is going to contend for a national championship this year, what needs to improve over the second half of the season?
Well, it's got to be they got to have more consistent offensive performances. Some nights they've generated shots on goal but haven't finished it. I think the defense has generally been there. If they have the offense, they've been winning the games this season. So I think just a little bit more consistency, and I think that's where I think some of the older guys are going to produce more than they did in the first half, and B, some of the younger guys who are just introduced to college hockey right now, you're going to see them progress too. So I think it's something that before the season you probably could have guessed that this is a team that's going to produce more in the second than the first half, and that's what needs to happen for this team to hit the next level.
When you look at that second half to the season, some big series coming up once the calendar turns, is there a stretch that you're looking at that's going to be key for this North Dakota team?
Yeah, I think there's two of them. I think right before the bye week they play Duluth and Denver back-to-back. Duluth struggled through the first half, but they had tons of injuries. I think that's a team that's going to be way better in the second half than the first half. And then at the end of the year, they have back-to-back road trips to Omaha and Miami. And I think those are going to be series that UND needs to win. If you're going to be a top team, you need to win those series. And so those are two really key series in the second half.
Oh, it was a good first half of the season. We hope a little more of the same to come up in the second half. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, guys. UND might not have a regular season game on tap until the first weekend of January, but they do have an exhibition game on December 30th at 7 p.m. against the U.S. Under-18 team. So be sure to catch that game live right here on Midco SN. Coming up after the break, a local coach who is using literature and sports to make his impact in the fight against cancer. You don't want to miss this, so stay tuned in to Midco Sports Tonight.